Hello and welcome to this Woman Who interview. I'm Dave Sharpe and I'm proud to say that today I'm talking to the founder of the Woman Who Inspires Network, Woman Who Awards and all the other things that are associated with Woman Who, Sandra Garlick MBE. Sandra, I'm going to start there because last year you were awarded an MBE, a proud moment for you and a proud moment for your mum and your late father.
It was. I mean, it was something that I didn't expect. You can't put yourself in for an MBE. It was just something that came totally out of the blue. And yes, it was lovely to be able to go in and tell my dad. He passed away a year ago this week, actually. He sort of was so proud and it really meant such a lot to me. And it, you know, for the work that I do with women in business, you know, to be awarded for something that is my passion was absolutely fantastic.
Yes, and that was the citation for your services to working with women in business, and well deserved, I have to say. Have you been to the Palace? I don't suppose anybody's been anywhere, have they, in the last 12 months?
No, sadly, I was due to go to the Palace on March the 12th last year. My dad passed away and then they sent me a new date through for June, and I'm thinking nice pink outfit and, you know, maybe on the lawn for a little bit, and then everything went down into lockdown and we were completely cancelled. So absolutely, I'm just waiting for my chance. I'll buy another new outfit, I think.
Yes, without a doubt, something to look forward to. So let me take you back to day one. Like so many ventures that we hear about through the Woman Who Network, yours was launched out of adversity. You'd broken your ankle, you were immobile, you'd stored away in your mind this concept some years earlier, and it dawned on you that now was the time to get that going, but it was only supposed to be a one-off thing, wasn't it? Tell us about the birth of Woman Who.
Well, as you say, I broke my ankle, and I think that gave me the time to sit down and reflect. Sometimes we just need to stop and look at what we're doing, and I realised that what I was doing at that time I wasn't particularly passionate about. I didn't enjoy doing it, and Woman Who had been sat there in my sort of innovation book, and I'd bought the domains 10 years before. And it sat there and I thought, this is the time to do it. And so I decided to do a one-off awards event. All my things are one-off, Dave. You know, everything I've done is a one-off, and then it turns into an annual event. So, yes, that's how it's all started.
And it evolved from an event to the network. The book became the story of the stories of the people in the network. And, I mean, how many editions are we on now? Is this the fourth one that you're launching? Yeah,
fourth edition this year. And 2 of them published in the pandemic. Which has been quite unusual in itself. And, you know, I've used local people to get those book projects completed.
Let's talk about that pandemic, because obviously a year ago we were facing something that people could see was going to be quite serious, but we didn't know the challenges we were going to face. And, of course, for a network that meets in person, exclusively in person, which relies on interaction, which relies on events and awards and people being in the room together, suddenly we can't do that. And it floored everybody. But you quickly thought there's got to be another way to deliver this.
I mentioned this in my introduction in this year's book. You've always got to have a plan B. And I think it floored me. It totally floored me, because I didn't know how I was going to deliver those face-to-face events. I'd been using Zoom for a year, but nobody else had. And, you know, when I'd talked to people about, let's have a Zoom meeting, let's cut out the travel, they went, oh, no. So really, it came into the fore then, and I was able to launch that network online. And actually, one of the side effects of that was we've gone national. And the plan was to go national, but just on the road. And I keep saying that actually when this is all over and when we're back to whatever normal might be, I'm taking Woman Who on tour. And we're going to travel around and I'm going to meet those people that I've never even met, who've won awards that I've never met.
You mentioned the awards. We did get that little lull in the summer where we were able to meet for a little while. I was a member of the judging panel for the Solopreneur Awards and some of the others. And the way that women are celebrated through your network is quite unique, isn't it? Because they're not all high flyers. Some were starting businesses during the pandemic. But they've all got one thing in common, haven't they? They are all inspiring people.
I'd say my mission is to create more local women in business role models. You know, we've had the FSB Women in Enterprise Untapped Potential report back in 2016. Alison Rose from NatWest did the Rose Review, and each one of those reports highlights that women need more confidence to push themselves forward. So I decided we need more local women in business role models. You can't be what you can't see. So that's what Woman Who is all about, making these women believe in themselves, giving them the confidence to say, actually, I am doing something right. And if they can inspire just one person to become a role model to somebody else, and the whole cycle just keeps going.
And you've brought a lot more to the party recently. You've got the Woman Who Academy for starters, which is online. Tell us a little bit about that and how people can get involved.
The Academy was born from the pandemic. It's an online platform where women in business have group mentoring from me. So we have a Monday morning live where I motivate them. It's my Monday motivation for the week ahead. And every Friday at lunchtime, we have a Friday Zoom, which gives the chance for the women in the Academy to try out a new keynote, to practice that keynote in front of a supporting group of women and gain instant feedback so that they're constantly evolving and learning. And from that, obviously, they've shared their stories in print in this year's I Am a Woman Who. And it's really giving them a lot of confidence. And there's business learning in there as well. It's all about business growth and becoming more visible. As I say it again, you can't be what you can't see. So, you know, it's about being out there, being visible, but not actually having to be everywhere and becoming that go-to person that actually you attract people to you.
Now, you and I have worked together on a number of projects, and I happen to know one of your guilty secrets, and it's not even a secret, is the fact that you love shoes. The pandemic has seen most people wearing flip-flops and slippers, I imagine, for 12 months. But you've got a brilliant attitude towards work. You're very disciplined. I think a lot of people could learn from the way you set up your day, the way you set up your week, the way you set up your 90 days. Tell us a little bit about life as Sandra Garlick, especially during the lockdown. Have you been able to put your shoes on?
The shoes have only been put on very rarely. I've got shoes on today, but I am mainly a slippers and flip-flops person at home. It's actually quite strange wearing shoes again, or dog walking boots. That's my other footwear of choice right now. But yeah, my day is structured. I start my day, I sit in my office, I work every day. And, you know, I do take time away as well. I'm getting out, I'm walking a lot and taking breaks. And I think that's really important to have that structure and to close the laptop in the evenings. And I've been really serious about doing that, you know, more so recently than I ever have been, just to have that structure around. And I still work in those 90-day cycles. It coincides with my VAT quarters, so why wouldn't you? You know, right at the moment, I'm working on my goals for the next quarter. And as we draw to a close, I move into the next quarter and I'm already planning the quarter ahead. So I'm always planning forward that 90 days.
And you make yourself accountable by sharing your story and what you're doing on LinkedIn. I imagine you're on other platforms as well. I happen to wake up in the morning and first thing I do with a cup of Italian coffee is go to LinkedIn. That's my social media of choice. And you're often right up there as a person who's posted quite early with some of those things that you set out to do. Today, I'm not going to answer the phone, or today is a day when I'm going to work out what I'm doing for the next 90 days. And you're a sole trader like me. Who else is going to hold you accountable but you?
Yeah, and I do like to share what I'm doing. I mean, you know, stories are a big part of what I do. Stories are memorable. Facts tell, stories sell. So I like to share a little bit of me, and I share those anecdotes, I share those stories. I share humorous things about living with my 90-year-old mother. I share things about the dog. I share all sorts of things. But I've been positive, and all my posts tend to have a positive element. They might have some negatives. They might have the one step back, two steps forward. But I always share that element of positivity because I'm a real glass half full person.
I must admit that those insights, I mean, there are business people and business owners of a certain age, our age, who are moving into a new era where parents are needing a little bit more attention and care, my own parents. And And of course, they're from another generation. And your mum, bless her, you know, she will come into a Zoom call hoovering. And my dad came into one and offered me a cup of tea. And I guess Zoom has made things a lot more authentic. We're a lot more forgiving now. We expect people to be shouting, "You're on mute," and seeing dogs and children and parents, in our case, wandering into shot.
I remember that Zoom thing that went viral, a BBC interview where the child runs in and the woman's there on her hands and knees dragging the child back. That's become part of life now. And yes, I do have my mother. She actually hoovers a lot. She's got 4 hoovers. And there was one in particular instance, I was in a meeting and she came behind me mopping the floor because she hadn't quite realised that she could be seen on camera. So she thought she was being quiet by using the mop and not the hoover. But they're all things that just are part of daily life now.
And actually, I mean, it really has opened up the world to us. I do Zooms from home, but of course I'm visiting my parents regularly as one of their main carer. And in fact, we were chatting on a group call. We're planning some things for the future, and I was sitting in my old bedroom from when I was a child, and I was in fact born in the house where I was doing my Zoom from. So that's going back a few years. And everyone asks, is it still the same? And behind me, my mum had kept my teddy bear, which I was able to show to you. I mean, Zoom has really brought the reality home, hasn't it? And that actually we're not what we might want everybody to think we are when you've got a picture of your teddy bear in the background, when you've got your mum hoovering around you. Yeah. For as much as we want to be seen as serious people, it can be blown like that, but it's nice.
I think it's more natural. I like it. And one of the things I have said is that Woman Who, the Inspires Network online, a national event, will stay. Woman Who will now be hybrid going forward. So we'll have the online network every month, but we'll also have the face-to-face events but I'm going to use a lot more of this virtual world because I think actually it's made us all realise how we were too busy, and now it's made us take a step back, and I shall build that into the business going forward. Well,
let's talk about that, because obviously you've 5 years this year. It's a nice celebration. What's planned for in your world, the next 90 days, but what's planned for the future, the next 12 months and the next 5 years? Where do you want to be? Dame? Sandra Garlick, perhaps?
No, got no control over that. No, that's not the plan at all. The plan is, to carry on creating more local women in business role models, as many as I can. I mean, you can see, we've got so many women engaging. 4 books, over 90 women that have shared their story to date. I want to make more women take part in awards. When people started entering the award, they were very nervous, didn't like shouting about their own successes, but they're more confident at doing that now. So this year, what have I got planned? We've got the first face-to-face event to get through. And I say to get through or to get to because we don't know what that means yet. We don't know when that's going to be. And the awards later on in the year, they will happen. Last year, I held the awards online, had that plan B in place, thanks to this wonderful studio. And this year, the awards will be face-to-face, or they may be a hybrid. We just don't know yet. But the plan is to keep creating those role models, keep sharing their stories, and to make women more confident about putting themselves out there and forward, and encouraging women to actually, go and sit on those committees, take those board positions, and really feel proud of what they've achieved.
Yeah, we were talking about the fact that it's International Women's Day, this idea of maybe challenging society, but certainly challenging yourself. And I know from talking to the people in the network that they get a tremendous amount of value, not just from the networking events, certainly in person and online now, of course, but writing their chapter in the book. If you're in the academy, you get an opportunity to write your chapter. That's very enlightening, quite therapeutic for a lot of people. They get to enter awards. Anybody can enter the awards. We'll talk about how soon. And I know that when they go through that process of entering awards and you think, well, because of the questions that you're asked, what steps have I taken to get where I am today? What plans do I have for the future? How is my growth? What support have I had? How have I developed my ideas? It's a tremendous way of self-focusing, isn't it? And making sure that you get the best out of yourself, whether you're in the academy, entering the awards, writing your chapter, and it really drives women on.
And a lot of women have said to me that actually going through the process of entering the awards is quite, enlightening for them, because what they're asked to do is to look at their achievements to date, look at where they are now and their goals and aspirations for the future. And in effect, what they've got is a mini snapshot of where they are now, a mini business plan. So even that exercise in itself, the questions are drafted deliberately to make you think and to make you think about where you're going with your business. And that's part of the process. And it is totally free to enter the awards. You don't have to be a member. Woman Who isn't a membership. The only membership element is the academy. And that's just if you want to become more visible and have that sort of support. I offer one-to-one support in some instances when the people first sign up, and then it's group mentoring every week. And I didn't want to make it a membership, so it's a subscription. So people pay a one-off fee, and once they're in for life, so they can step back and do the things they've got to do and then come back when they're ready, or go away and work on the next element of their business and then come back into the academy, which lots of women have done.
Go back to the awards, of course, I've been part of those for a number of years, and the atmosphere on the day, it's a daytime event, which I think is quite unique for award ceremonies. It's a lunch, it's a brilliant day, there's entertainment, there's laughter, there's tears, and we have got a date in the diary for an in-person event.
Yes, the awards are on the 1st of October at Coombe Abbey Hotel. The awards, this will be our 5th year at the hotel, so it'll be a 5th year celebration, awards and conference this year. So in the morning there'll be a conference, women in business, educational, learning topics, and then the afternoon we'll have our usual lunch, keynote speakers and awards. And my awards are sort of very relaxed and they're fun. So you don't have to be a woman in business to attend. Lots of people women bring their daughters, their husbands, their aunts, their sisters. There's quite a lot of men attend as well, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say people might be looking at this and think, well, you're not a woman, Dave. What are you doing there? But it's a friendly atmosphere. It puts women in the spotlight and men who are supporting women in the spotlight. And actually, if you go to the awards, it's just a brilliant day out, and we have a lot of fun. Those keynote speakers, of course, are also people who are part of the network. Quite a few of them never spoke in public before, and you give them a few tips, and there they are sharing their story and feeling like $1 million and being very, very visible.
Yeah, and I look forward to it each year. We record those keynotes, and that's how the book started. There was a lady in the audience and she said, I just wish I could listen to those stories or read them again and again and again. She says, have you ever thought of putting them into a book? And I said, well, I have thought about it. And that's how the very first book, A One-Off Project, came to light, because the women wanted to hear more of those stories, those journeys and be inspired by them. So
if there was one highlight in those 5 years that really makes you think, wow, apart from the MBE, of course, what would it be? Wow, it's difficult to think of just one highlight. I think my biggest highlight, I would probably say, was the awards we did online this year, because those women had waited, they were waiting, they knew they were finalists in March 2020, the last Woman Who face-to-face event, and they waited, and they were so patient, and yet we couldn't hold that awards event until October. And seeing those women, seeing them on the screen, that was my proudest moment. The fact that I was able to bring an event through this studio and have women interact on screen, on Zoom, yet actually feel as if they were in an awards event. They said to me, I felt as if I was actually there, and that was my proudest moment, I think. Yeah, I saw some clips from that, and it was tremendous, the amount of emotion. People think that you lose that sort of feeling of, like you say, being in the room, that somehow it's not the same, the connectivity's not the same, but it really was. People were dressed up, people had got drinks, people were celebrating, you could feel the love through the screen. Yeah, no, it was fantastic, and that's my plan B. So I know now that is possible. So I know that whatever this year brings, I'm ready for it. Yeah, and I'd give a big plug. So many of us have panicked and worried about how we're going to adapt. As a person that is in the events industry, my world just suddenly stopped. But because of the studio here in Coventry, thank Neil and the team at Hystad AV, who also had conversations with me saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And all of a sudden, once that doom and gloom had settled, we said, well, hang on a minute, maybe we could build a studio. Dave, maybe you could be a presenter of online events. Sandra, you can take your stuff online as well. And we became quite liberated, and it's put a spring back in our step.
Absolutely, I can't wait for this year, and I'm no longer nervous about or apprehensive. I know that if I have to postpone an event, this is a great plan B.
It is, and I would recommend it to all of you. Sandra, for those that don't know too much about the network, surely now they know a little bit more, but how can they get involved?
Well, I'd say the first thing is come along to one of the Woman Who Inspires networks. They're every month, they're online, they're free to attend. Just visit womanwho.co.uk and you just register and you'll be sent that Zoom link. And it all goes from there, really. You get to learn more, you get to network, you get to meet other ladies, you get to hear inspirational keynotes, and then you can progress your Woman Who journey and enter the awards.
And the web address?
womanwho.co.uk.
Fantastic. Sandra, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. I've worked with you a number of times, but to get to actually dig a little deeper is always pleasant. That's Sandra Garlick, the founder of Woman Who, Sandra Garlick MBE, of course, and must always remember to keep that tagline going, my good friend. So there you go. Woman Who Network Inspires, or Woman Who Inspires Network, let me get that right, is available to all of you. So follow that link online, womanwho.co.uk, and we'll see you on the other side.